Presença Harmonia, uma realização da Ordem Rosa Cruz Norte, Grande Loja da Jurisdição de Língua Portuguesa. Hoje estamos com um programa especial em homenagem à inauguração do Museu o Rei Menino de Ouro Tutankhamon, pois temos a presença do professor doutor arqueólogo egípcio Zahi Hawass. Quem fará a entrevista hoje, também um egiptólogo e arqueólogo brasileiro, professor doutor Moacir Elias Santos. Obrigada pela presença.
Obrigado, Vivian. Eu agradeço novamente pelo convite. É um prazer o professor Zahi Hawass recebê-lo novamente aqui na Ordem Rosa Cruz e principalmente esse momento tão importante que é a inauguração do Museu do Tutankhamon. Eu gostaria inicialmente de perguntar ao senhor sobre um pouco sobre o contexto de Amarna, né? Então, as mudanças que o Akhenaton proporcionou no seu reinado e principalmente com a fundação da cidade de Akhetato. Nós sabemos que é de lá que vem o Tutankhamon. E eu gostaria um pouco que o senhor falasse a respeito da cidade de Akhetato.
You know, Akhenaton, when he decided to have this new religion, or have to, you get the idea of the one God behind the sun, then the priests of Ammon were completely against him. Then he stayed 3 years, maybe 5 years in Thebes, and after that he thought that he should go to a city that never any god touched it before, or it's a new city that he can isolate himself to worship the new god, and that was Amarna, Akhetaton, and he left steles in Tun al-Jabal and also in Amarna to tell us about the border and the planning of the city of Amarna, where the Sun Temple exists and the palace and the tombs and all these ideas that he had. And he lived inside the city with his queen Nefertiti and his daughters, and Tutankhamon was born. And actually, we thought before that Tutankhamon's mother was Kia, but now, with the new discovery that they made, I found that his mother was not Kia, because his mother was the daughter of Amenhotep III and Queen T. And this means that Akhenaton married his own sister. And this is why Tutankhamon has all these physical problems. The city now, there is an English expedition working in the site, and they discovered many areas with the Sun Temples and the North Palace and the South Palace, and the tombs also has been cleaned, especially the tomb of the big, large tomb of Akhenaton. And we know that Tutankhamon, when he became the king, he moved many of the Amarna artifacts and also the skeleton of his father Akhenaton, which I did DNA with this skeleton, and I found that he's a person died in the age of 35, and he was a son of Amenhotep III and Queen T and the father of Tutankhamon. In my opinion, Amarna is like a play that we don't know the end of this play. What happened to Akhenaton at the end of his reign? What happened to Nefertiti? Did she rule? We have one scene found in the Temple of Karnak, and also another scene in Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, showing Nefertiti smiting an enemy. And that scene is only connected with kings. The king is the only one to smite the enemies of Egypt, but the queen cannot do that. But for Nefertiti to be shown smiting an enemy, this means that she ruled. But how long? We don't know. What happened to her? We don't know. And this is why I believe that my excavation in the West Valley of the Kings, between the tomb of Amenhotep III and the tomb of Ai, could be the area that reveal many secrets about the Amarna period.
O senhor realizou também uma série de análises com as múmias reais. Entre elas, nós sabemos que foi feito um estudo sobre o esqueleto da KV-55 e a dama encontrada na KV-35, o segundo esconderijo real. O senhor poderia nos explicar um pouco a relação dessas múmias com o faraó Tutankhamon?
When Howard Carter was the chief inspector of the Valley of the Kings, he moved all the mummies that has names to Cairo Museum, except the mummy of Tutankhamon. He left it in the tomb. In KV 35, the cachet, he moved all the mummies that has names, and he left the 3 mummies. One is called the elder lady, one is called the younger lady, and one for a boy. Then when I did examine the elder lady, I found out that the elder lady was Queen T. She was the mother of Akhenaten in KV 55 skeleton, and also the daughter of Yuya and Tuya. And you know that Howard Carter also found a small coffin that has the name of Queen T and a piece of hair. And they compared the piece of the hair of Queen T with the hair of the elder lady. They found it's identical. And I did confirm that the elder lady in the tomb of KV 35 is actually Queen T. And I began to also do the younger lady, that some people thought that she's Nefertiti. But I found out that this is the daughter of Amenhotep III and Queen T. We know that Amenhotep III and Queen T had 5 daughters. But this lady won't have her name. And it could be one of them. But she was the mother of Tutankhamon, and she was the sister of Akhenaten. Then Akhenaten married his own sister. And this is why the body of Tutankhamon had many physical problems. I did also scan the mummy of KV 55, because many people thought that this could be Semenech Kara also. I believe that Semenech Kara doesn't exist at all. I believe that when Nefertiti was the co-regent with Akhenaten, it changed her name. And when she became a king, she took the name Semenech Kara. And therefore, we found that KV 35 skeleton died in the age of 35. And this fit with the age of the death of Akhenaten. And after that, we found out that this is the son of Amenhotep III and Queen T, meaning that this mummy is the mummy of Akhenaten. Actually, in my opinion, that the biggest mistake that Akhenaten did, that he made all the Egyptians to worship Atum through him. Then when he died, the people could not find Atum anymore.
Bom, falando também um pouco sobre as análises de múmias, né? Alguns estudos realizados nas últimas décadas apontaram que possivelmente Tutankhamon foi assassinado. E o seu estudo, feito com a múmia dele, mostrou conclusões contrárias. O senhor poderia nos contar um pouquinho sobre isso?
The reason that many people thought that Tutankhamon was murdered because of that hole in the back of the head. When I examined that hole, I found it was opened in Dynasty 18 to put the liquid for mummification. We can see that exactly in the mummy of Amose that is now in Luxor Museum. It has the same hole in the back of the head. And when I did examine the mummy with the CT scan, I found out that he had a fracture in the left leg. And that showed that he died, this accident, he had 2 days before he died. And after that, we found that he had many physical problems, such as flat foot, and the blood doesn't go to his finger. And this is why he's shown all the time, seated and hunting and spiting enemies. And also, we have scenes of him leaning on a stick. And in his tomb, we know that he found that he left 130 sticks. One of them, he said, I made it by myself. And this to show that he used the sticks to walk. But at the same time, he was hunting. He lived in Memphis, in a palace. And he used the desert of Memphis to hunt. We are going to start the second Egyptian mummy project to find out if he had infection or not. If he had infection, this will confirm that he had an accident.
Bom, o fato de Tutankhamon ter morrido jovem, provavelmente entre 18 ou 19 anos de idade, gerou a necessidade de uma construção de uma tumba de uma maneira bastante rápida. Alguns pesquisadores, inclusive, acreditam que essa tumba não teria sido planejada originalmente para ele. O senhor concorda com essa hipótese?
Yes, I really believe that the tomb of Tutankhamon was made in the West Valley, which is the tomb that I used. And the tomb that Tutankhamon was buried, it was for I. And because of the sudden death of Tutankhamon, they had to use the existing tombs of I for himself. And they stored inside these 5 rooms all these 5,398 objects. And when he died, he took the other one. And you can see almost the design of I tomb and the KV62 are similar. The scene of the image, what is in the netherworld, is the same scene in the tomb of Tutankhamon. And that's why I believe that Tutankhamon used this tomb because of his sudden death.
A tumba de Tutankhamon ela é mundialmente conhecida pelos seus tesouros. Embora tenha sido descrita que ela foi encontrada intacta, o próprio Howard Carter nos conta que ela foi provavelmente saqueada 2 vezes. O senhor poderia nos contar um pouco sobre o roubo de tumbas?
Because, you know, we have evidence that the tombs of the the Valley of the Kings was robbed. We have the famous story of the tombs robbery, which we have an account of how many tombs were stolen. And we have this fight between the mayor of the East Bank and the mayor of the West Bank. Then we know that when the king died, the thieves will go at night with candles to steal the tomb. And this is what happened in the tomb of Tutankhamon. They entered twice, and thanks God that each time they hear the steps of the priest of the cemetery. And when Howard Carter discovered the tomb, he found that many artifacts taken from the treasury room in the hall, and it was ready to go. And it happened also the second time, and the police sealed it. When the tomb of Ramses VI began to be constructed, all the stones came down to seal KV62 to be the only royal tomb in the Valley of the Kings to be discovered intact.
Dentre os inúmeros itens encontrados na tumba de Tutankhamon, Howard Carter menciona nos seus textos que existe uma diferença corporal entre algumas imagens, principalmente das estátuas. Mas essas diferenças também são encontradas com relação a nomes, principalmente descrições e dentre as inscrições dos próprios ataúdes canópicos. E eu gostaria que o senhor contasse para a gente um pouco se existe a possibilidade desses materiais terem sido reutilizados e, se foram reutilizados, eles pertenceriam a Nefertiti.
You have to understand that always there is a big workshop in Amarna and there is workshop at Thebes. The artist has to work preparing artifacts for every king. And this is why with the sudden death of Tutankhamon, there is many artifacts belongs to Nefertiti that he used and belongs to others. And this is why you can see in the 5,398 objects, you can see the Amarna style in many, and you see the Theban style. And this is why the tomb is a combination between the Amarna art and the Theban art.
E sobre a máscara de Tutankhamon, é possível que ela tenha sido também refeita?
The recent study that was done by the German restorator who restored the mask after the damage of the beard of the golden mask, he did not find, as necklace leaves mentioned, any cartouches of Nefertiti at all in the mask. And these holes also are holes for Tutankhamon. There is only in the time of Dynasty 18, the holes in the air were made for female and male. And this is why it proved now that this mask was only made for Tutankhamon, not for Nefertiti.
Bom, outro assunto relacionado, principalmente nos anos que se seguiram à descoberta da tumba de Tutankhamon, falam a respeito de uma maldição do faraó. Nós sabemos que nenhuma maldição foi encontrada, ou inscrição ameaçadora foi encontrada na tumba de Tutankhamon. Mas nós sabemos que existem inscrições em outras tumbas que tratam de maldições. O senhor pode nos contar um pouco sobre essas inscrições que estão relacionadas às maldições no Egito Antigo?
You have to understand that everyone wanted to protect his tomb. And this is why, since the Old Kingdom, we have many inscriptions written inside and outside the tomb. It's saying if anyone will touch my tomb, he will be eaten by crocodile, the hippo, and the lion, and scorpion, and the snakes. It's like you, if you say, if anyone will hurt me, I hope that God will kill him. It doesn't mean anything. And this is why this was a hope from the Egyptians that their tomb will be protected, because the aim of a king or a common man or anyone is to save his tomb by blocking the burial chamber in a way that no thieves cannot enter at all. But you know, people who believe in the curse cannot really know that magic will stay until all these years. We have many stories about magic in ancient Egypt, especially with Kufa and the magician, when the magician cut the head of a duck or of a goose up in the sky and turned it back. But this cannot stay all the time, magic. And this is why when the tomb of Tutankhamon was found, Lord Carnarvon gave exclusive rights to London Times to write only about the tombs. But the other reporters cannot write about anything. And this is why when Lord Carnarvon died, 5 months after the discovery, they created all these stories, that none of them is true. The facts about curses, if you leave a mummy inside a tomb for 3,000 years, the mummy will make germs that you cannot see. If archaeologists enter in the site, the germs hit them and they die. And that is the real story about the curse.
No Egito, junto à casa de Howard Carter, foi construída uma réplica da tumba de Tutankhamon por uma empresa espanhola chamada Factum Art. Sabendo que a tumba do Vale dos Reis recebe milhares de visitantes todos os anos, e isso causa um grande impacto neste local arqueológico, como o senhor avalia o uso de réplicas de tumbas para a conservação das originais?
You know, I was afraid that tourists are the enemies of archaeology, because people breathing and touching and talking. In 100 years, all these tombs will be gone. And I thought I should make a replica of the most important tombs, like the tomb of Tutankhamon, Seti I and Nefertari. And the tomb of Tutankhamon is finished. It's the exact replica. Look at Lascaux in France. The original is closed, and the replica is visited. You cannot find the difference between the replica and the real one. And this is why this tomb was very important. As you have this in the museum here, that we're going to open, this artifacts will never travel outside the museum. Then most of the people in Kurtiba, they will never be able to see any objects of Tutankhamon. If you have an exact replica made by the Antiquities Department, exactly the same, that the only one who can know the difference between the real and the replica is an archaeologist. At the same time, in our work that I did with Satro, we were able to do lots of the facts. Each artifact was explained in a professional Egyptological way. We used IT to make these artifacts speaking. And this is why I believe that this museum that's opened in Kurtiba now by the Rosicrucian Order will be the best to educate children in a school and the public about the golden boy Tutankhamon.
Nós sabemos que uma réplica da múmia de Tutankhamon foi feita recentemente para uma exposição nos Estados Unidos. E como o senhor avalia essa exposição de restos humanos? Muitos pesquisadores na atualidade têm debatido a presença de múmias e outros restos humanos em museus. Como o senhor, um dos grandes representantes da arqueologia do Egito, como o senhor vê essa possibilidade dos museus retirarem múmias e restos humanos de exposição?
You know, most of the artifacts that was taken out of Egypt, we also believe that any artifact was stolen should come back. I returned 6,000 artifacts. You know, there are some people believe that taking all these objects out of the tomb and the money out of the tomb, you damage the spiritual value of the ancient Egyptian. But still, if you have these objects in a museum and was good educational to the public, it's good to educate people about this period. Then it really doesn't matter if you take objects out of the tomb to put it in a museum. But this object has to be taken legally from the country. You can't put in your museum stolen artifacts. Many museums, they do buy stolen artifacts, and I did punish most of them by stopping the Louvre of excavating in Egypt because they bought stolen artifacts. And Michael Carlos, St. Louis Museum in Atlanta still have a mask was stolen from Cairo Museum, and that really is not fair. Then I do not object the idea of taking artifacts from a tomb, but still the spiritual value of the king or the official can be carried out through the artifact in a museum or in a tomb.
A Ordem Rosa Cruz, juntamente com a sua supervisão, construiu recentemente aqui em Curitiba um museu destinado ao Rei Menino Tutankhamon. E todas as réplicas foram feitas pelo Conselho de Antiguidades do Egito. Como o senhor avalia o uso de réplicas na divulgação científica?
I already talked about it. I said that the objects in this museum will never came out of Egypt, will never come out of Egypt at all. There is no one will be ever think that one of these artifacts in this museum can be seen out of Egypt. And this is why it's a good opportunity for everyone in Curitiba and in Brazil to see a replica exhibit that was really made in a beautiful way to educate people. Knowledge, artifacts, stories, discoveries, the golden boy, all of this are educational that people need to know. All of this can be seen in this new museum that opened in Curitiba in the Rosicrucian Order.
Bem, o senhor está aqui lançando o seu livro Montanhas dos Faraós, a história não contada dos construtores das pirâmides. Eu gostaria então que o senhor autografasse esses 2 volumes para nós. Professor Zahi Hawass, eu gostaria de agradecê-lo novamente pela sua entrevista no Presença Harmonia.
Muito obrigada, professor Hawass, professor Moacir, muito obrigada. Aproveito para lembrar do nosso e-mail, presençaharmonia@morte.org.br. É muito importante para nós essa via de comunicação que nós temos com você que nos assiste. Agradecemos a participação conosco hoje e até o nosso próximo encontro. Paz profundo.